Welcome, dear listeners, to the flagship episode of Grimlore, the lore podcast for all your Warhammer Fantasy and Age of Sigmar needs. Hello, everyone. My name is Gerald. I'm a huge fan of the Warhammer 40,000 universe and a lifelong fan of the fantasy genre in general, but I do not know that much about Warhammer Fantasy. So, to help me in this endeavor, I have brought along a friend and a soon-to-be mentor in this journey. Please welcome Ray Way.
Hello.
All you got to
You are
say?
invested in Warhammer Fantasy. Well, yeah, because I just want to say hi and I like talking, especially with our topic we got today. I don't really know what else to say except hello to everyone because I am excited.
Well, from what I understand, we are going to be diving headfirst into in the deep end, I believe. So, what are we going over today?
Well, I kind of wanted to do a quick, just a little quick question back and forth first before we actually dive into the topic to just get a feel of, let people know what we're working with, what I'm working with, what fun clay I have to mold. So, I thought I would actually ask you, how did you actually get into the Warhammer hobby in general?
Oh, that is a very, very roundabout story that requires a lot longer than we have time for.
No worries.
But needless to say, let's just say it's a friend of mine showed me if you know the YouTube channel Flash Gets, they
Okay.
feature a lot of Space Marines, specifically the Black Templars. So I thought, what the heck kind of crazy franchise is this? Because I kind of knew it existed when I was, in my younger years, high school and college days, but I just wasn't aware of it. So I finally took the plunge and discovered like an Every Faction Explained video by Bricky. So shout out to that fine person for getting me started. And then, of course, I came upon the Lorehammer podcast. So a big shout out to those fine gentlemen as well. And then 2 years later, the rest is history. Here I am collecting minis, painting Space Marines and Imperial Knights and Custodes and so on and so forth.
Ah, yes, the debt begins.
Oh, yes. And we wouldn't have it any other way.
Yes, yes, yes. See, my story is actually interesting because I started with fantasy actually, because I am a fan of fantasy in general as a genre and learned about Warhammer Fantasy, which I actually got invested in. But I also have a soft spot for science fiction. And I think it was around when Astartes came out that really invested me into the science fiction side of Warhammer. And in a similar instance, I also took the dive into the deep end. So it's actually fun to, I don't want to necessarily say go back to my roots because I never really like fully indulged myself in fantasy. It was very much a surface level, I know enough about the factions to learn, but it was very fun to, you know, go back and research some stuff and learn, oh, I remember this, or oh, that puts a new spin on something I used to know. So
Okay. Yeah,
yeah,
because I
so this
was
is very fun.
because note for our dear listeners out there, we had actually met on the Lorehammer Discord, and we've been talking back and forth, and we're both big fans of Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, etc., etc. A lot of your famous fantasy or sci fantasy series. So we both kind of have our toes dipped into those waters, and so with Rayway here knowing a little bit more about the Warhammer fantasy, this will be a very interesting journey to see what kind of awesome, crazy, epic stuff we'll learn along the way.
Yes, and I thought we'd start off really strong with one of my personal favorite factions in all of Warhammer, and definitely one of the most unique. So, Gerald, you know what faction we're talking about? Yes, yes,
I believe we do. I think they're called the Skaven, and they
yes,
are, if
yes,
I'm not
yes,
mistaken, a very popular faction, not just with you, but with a lot of people.
yes. They are. They are very fun. Well, they're as fun as like an army of an entire race of like Starscream can be from Transformers.
Okay, all right. And
So
I think it also worth mentioning that I believe they're rats people.
they are. Well, yes, they are. So for those who don't know what the Skaven are, a general roundabout description of them is imagine anywhere from 4 to 6 feet tall rats. And I wouldn't say they are humanoid rats, similar to like, oh, they're like humans with rat features. No, they are full on rats. Like they crawl on all fours. They occasionally will stand on 2 legs. Most that when they're in combat, they'll stand on 2 legs and have their front paws as like melee weapons. But yes, they are literally just giant rats.
Please excuse me while I call Orkin on steroids for this.
So I thought I would tell you a very fun quote first of all about this for that is a general description of the Skaven for you to get an idea of just how depraved and how awful these wonderful rat men are.
All right, so we're just diving headfirst into the deep end of Warhammer Fantasy. So, good way to get everyone hooked in, especially myself included. So, let's get going. Let's hear this quote.
This quote is spoken by Thanquil. He is a Skaven. He's effectively a Skaven's version of Starscream. He excels at failing upwards.
Okay,
So
I'm
this
intrigued
quote,
now.
this quote is: "There's more than one way to skin an infant."
What?
Yes, yes,
I thought there'd be more to that, but I think that sums the Skaven up nicely.
yes. It really does. You kind of just have more like, oh, these are the people we're working with, huh?
We're really diving headfirst into a deep, depressing topic.
Yeah, they're fun. They're fun. Trust me, I swear. So, just some general descriptions. The Skaven are known as Skaven. That's the general term, but they're also called Ratmen, Beastmen, the Vermintide. A bunch of other derogatory terms. Some just call them the Swarm. They have a bunch of nicknames that generally associate to like just rats and filth. That's the best way to describe them.
As you do.
But they're yes, well as you should. They are horribly disgusting to the
Ugh.
point that their most how would I say this? Their best qualities is they're basically solely driven by self-preservation. Like
Okay,
every,
makes
every
sense.
single every single Skaven is driven instinctively to preserve their own life, and they'll do whatever it takes to accomplish this task. That means that every single Skaven on a almost like biological level is cowardly, sneaky, just treacherous, greedy, but they're also like inherently smart. Like they'll kind of like they have a general sense of almost like a MacGyver sense of getting out of trouble. Like, oh no, I have to think of something. Think, and they'll just self-preservation above all else.
This is kind of reminding me of makes me think a little bit of the grunts from Halo.
Yeah,
Like
I
the
would.
voice that you were just doing was just making me think like this sounds a lot like Halo grunts.
Yeah, they I would say that they have a similar. They have a similar sense and the same concept of they're very pathetic because grunts are sad, but they're mostly humorously pathetic.
Oh, enemy! Run, run!
That's yeah, pretty much.
Now you mentioned something. You mentioned one of their nicknames, the Vermintide. I used to play video games quite a bit back in my day before I got a day job and not much else of a life. But I did hear of one called Vermintide. Is that related to the Skaven at all or Warhammer?
Yes. Yes, it's a Warhammer Fantasy game where you basically play as the Empire of Man and you're dealing with I believe it's the second Skaven invasion. It's the Skaven invasion of the Empire. And it's set during the present era of Warhammer Fantasy.
Wait a minute. Wait. Empire of Man, Imperium of Man. GW, you hacked yourself here. Come on.
I mean, they do also have a god king, which sounds pretty similar to a god emperor. I'm just saying.
Oh my. I mean, I know it's okay when you plagiarize yourself, but that's a little too on the nose, you think?
I believe the proper term is a circle jerk.
Yes. GW seems to. Oh crap. Anyways, moving on.
So would you care to learn about how the Skaven, the wonderful rat people, came into our world?
Oh, I love a good origin story. Please tell me.
Ooh, yeah, I also love a good origin story, especially when it involves murder and death.
Which sounds like a the setup to a good Game of Thrones novel.
I agree. Except with more boobs.
I'm not sure I want to see any Skaven boobs though.
Oh, don't ask how they're born.
Please do not answer that question. When a mommy Skaven and a daddy Skaven love each other very much.
Oh no, there's no love involved. There's no love involved.
Oh dear, oh dear. Okay, let's stop right here before we get censored.
Yeah, I think the origin story is bad enough as it is. So the Skaven, there's a bunch of different conflicting origin stories to them, which is
So
actually
kind
one
of
of
like the
the
God Emperor.
yeah, it's actually kind of fun. But there is one that's almost like basically confirmed. The other ones are more like in-universe theories. Like you might have like, oh, this guy over here thinks it's this guy over here thinks it's this, but like on a meta level, we can kind of assume which one is actually the real one. So if you don't mind,
Okay.
I'll just stick with the meta level one and not worry about the like in-universe theories.
So kind of like the big one that's more or less confirmed.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, if we have time, I'm always down for hearing more. But I'm sure with a topic as popular as the Skaven, we got a lot to go through. So,
I mean, one of them is literally they were made by Poseidon.
well, that's an easy explanation. But I don't see how the rats and stuff fit with the god of the sea. But anyways,
Yeah, it's weird. That's the best it goes at. That's the best it goes at is sailors landed on an island and they started like going barbaric and then Poseidon cursed them to become rat people.
that just sounds like something that was ripped straight from Greek mythology, if you ask me.
I mean, something you'll find about Warhammer is it's Warhammer Fantasy. It's very derivative of the real world.
Ah, kind of like how 40K is derivative of, let me see here, Dune, Star Wars, a lot more Star Wars, more Dune, a
Some Lord of the Rings somehow.
little bit of Lord of the Rings, which I imagine I think, I would honestly be surprised if there weren't plenty of Lord of the Rings references in Warhammer Fantasy.
Oh, there's definitely a few.
Okay. Hey, as long as I got my dwarves, man. Come on,
Oh,
dwarves.
good, because the dwarves are involved in the origin of the Skaven.
Fantastic.
All right. So the most popular theory of where the Skaven come from, especially in the one that's basically confirmed on a meta level, the out of universe one, is the Doom of Khazar. Now, Doom of Khazar isn't recorded anywhere except in a poem or in a short. It's basically a poem that exists in universe. Now, rather than reading verbatim the poem because it's actually pretty long, I might just go over just what happens in the poem. And
All
it's
right.
not even written as a poem; it's more written as a short story, if anything.
Okay.
But to sum it down, this is set. How many years is that? Like eight. It's okay. Several thousand years before the current era, like the current moment in time, the present day.
Okay.
Um, the old world, which is what Warhammer Fantasy's planet is called, the old world, was how do I put it? The planet was basically roaming with apex predators and like a bunch of both prehistoric and mythical monsters that are completely unrelated in any way, shape, or form to like chaos or anything. Like they just existed on the world. Like dragons just roam like giant titanic mountain-sized dragons and giants just roam the world just inherently.
I like this already.
Yes. So the world was pretty just insanely dangerous and hostile to all life. It was basically a planet full of apex predators naturally. However, in one part of the world, in one extremely fertile, almost beautifully, almost like a paradise location, the city of Khazar was built, and the city of Khazar was built stone by stone, brick by brick, with human and dwarves. So the first human and dwarves that settled these lands cooperated, worked together, they made a peace alliance, and the terms of the agreement were the humans would live on the surface, and they would reap the soil, they would fish the rivers, they controlled the surface effectively. The dwarves would mine under the surface and into the nearby mountains. The concept was humans live on top, dwarves live on the bottom, but they coexist, they cooperate. It's one city that's in upper and lower levels.
Okay.
And this city was again extremely verdant. Not only that, but it was extremely prosperous. Like the mines, the soil was extremely rich in minerals and ores. Like it was almost like I don't want to say it was unnaturally wealthy, but it was to the point of like, oh wow, there must be more. This isn't just naturally occurring wealth. Like there's mineral wealth, and then there's verdant grassland, fertile wealth. This land is almost ideal for us, like idyllic.
Would you say
So
magic?
I wouldn't say magic, but it's definitely it's this is more my head canon, but it's almost like purpose built. It's almost like this region was purpose built for like humans and dwarves to coexist.
Well, then that just kind of begs the question: if it was purpose built, then who done it?
Oh, I will get to that in a future episode.
Oh, you can't leave me hanging like that.
Oh, but I will because it's so much more fun.
You're such a tease.
I know, I'm great. Now, now again, this place is beautiful, verdant, perfect. It's again, it seems almost purpose built for humans and dwarves to coexist here. So naturally, the dwarves and humans, they again, these are from different cultures. This place eventually grows again, brick by brick, into a massive like trading metropolis. It's like a massive city, and it becomes like a center of again trade, prosper, culture. So different like religions and different gods are being worshipped here. All different gods and religion and ethnic groups are like gathering here. Again, humans and dwarves specifically. Now, the dwarves and humans that are ruling this city decide that it's only fair that they give thanks for this beautiful like plot of land they're given because naturally the only way that this region could be purpose built for them is if the gods did it because in Warhammer Fantasy gods are real.
Alrighty.
So
That's kind of the thing with fantasy is like, all the major gods for all the major religions. Yeah, they kind of have to exist for it to be a fantasy.
yeah, I mean it's honestly pretty interesting because like all the religions are effectively like real, which is really fun. I think it's really fun. So as a result, like the dwarves and humans, they cooperate and they're like, okay, we should give thanks to the gods, but how do we do it? The natural assumption is to build a temple to all the gods, which sounds
Okay.
fantastic.
All
The
right.
thing is, though, is that they want to make this church, this temple, as immaculate, as perfect, as massive as it possibly can. So naturally, that means that the only way to give thanks to the gods with this temple is to build a temple so fucking high that it reaches the fucking clouds.
I'm getting
Because you
Tower of
know,
Babylon vibes here, and I don't think this is going to end well.
no, 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 no. Because remember, this is the Skaven origin story.
Oh dear, this is really not going to end well. Continue.
So so this takes literally centuries to accomplish. Like literally centuries for them to build this massive tower higher and higher and higher. But the
Okay,
problem,
that tracks.
but the problem is though, is that it gets to a point where just before they're about to reach like the satisfied amount, like where they're like, okay, this is satisfactory, they can't build anymore. Both because it's so high that the builders can't breathe properly up there. Transporting like the stones up there takes too long. Like it takes too much effort to build any higher. And they
Hmm.
realize, oh fuck, we can't do it. Like we won't be able to finish this thing that our ancestors upon our ancestors have done, which for the dwarves is a big thing because ancestor worship and everything. And for the humans, it's just oh well, we can't build our temple to our god, so it's shitty regardless of both sides.
Huh,
However,
someone forgot to turn their game to creative mode and fly. That's a
I know,
Minecraft
right?
reference.
If only we had unlimited resources.
Amen.
Now, here's the thing though. So, someone walks into the town on the eve of the day when they were scheduled to complete the tower. The thing is, they can't complete the tower. A stranger walks into town though. Because again, it's still a trading hub. People can come, people can visit, people are coming in and out of the city. This stranger comes into the town. No one can see his face. He's dressed head to toe in thick robes. He is completely obscured, except for his hands, which you can see. The hands are important. Just again, he's very like hidden. He
Okay.
goes to the council of the dwarves and humans because there's a ruling council ruling this city, and he tells them very bluntly, "I can finish the tower for you. I have a special. I can finish it. I have the means and the ability to finish a tower for you. I can finish it for you. Tomorrow. I can finish it for you by tomorrow." And the dwarves and humans are instantly like, "Oh, of course, of course." But the dwarves are skeptical. They ask, "Why? Why? Like, what do you want?" Because no one does anything for free, effectively.
Especially if it's one dude says, "Oh, I can complete it by the end of tonight."
Yeah. So naturally, the stranger's like, "Oh, of course, of course, of course. Do not worry. I of course want payment. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to trick you. I'm not going to deceive you. I do want payment. I do expect payment. But my payment is simple. I noticed that when you were going to build your tower to all the gods, you forgot my god. So,
Hmm.
in return for building your tower for you, all I ask is that you let me add a shrine to my god up there. So, simple deal. He finishes your tower for you. All everyone's gods are put up there, including his. Now, it seems like a pretty fair payment. The humans naturally jump at the idea. The dwarves are a little hesitant, but the tower needs to get done. They're not gonna continue to just wait around waiting for someone to get around to facing it. The answer is right here, and they want
Hmm.
to finish it by tomorrow. So
Hmm. I smell sus.
yeah, yeah. So naturally, the humans and dwarves agree. Very well. You can finish the tower for us. Thank you. And he does. Everyone wakes up the next morning. The tower is done. Every single statue is also placed. He didn't skip anyone's. He did add his own though. He did add monument to his own god. So every single god, every single pantheon, every single religion, every single culture was represented. But there was one monument that stood out because it didn't fit with any of the others. And what I mean by that is like you can kind of imagine that different cultures have like overlapping gods, overlapping symbols, which is natural.
Yeah.
This is the only one that didn't. It was a bell. It was a massive brass bell that was almost like frozen, like mid swing. Now, humans and dwarves instantly start partying, celebrating. It's like, wow, yeah, this is amazing. This is amazing. This is amazing. This is fantastic. And while the revelry is going on, while the celebration is going on, while people are going into this massive temple that again is fucking sky high into the air, naturally have to climb the tower to see all the monuments. Everyone's celebrating, blah blah blah. Something starts happening as night falls on the city. As the following evening comes, the bell starts swinging, and the bell tolls one time, two times, three times, and it continues tolling back and forth
I'm
until it
getting that
reaches.
Metallica song "For Whom the Bell Tolls" going in my head right now. Thanks a lot.
I'm glad it's a good song. That's a good song. And as it's every single time it tolls, there's almost like a minor tremor in the ground, like the ground is shaking a little bit. Dwarves and humans are kind of feeling it, but it's like minor tremors. But every single time it tolls, it gets worse and worse and worse, and it's just kind of getting, it's just increasingly building and building and building until the 13th bell tolls. And at that moment, it's a bigger shake, it's a bigger quake, it's almost like an earthquake. And
13,
then
man.
13, bad number,
Ugh,
bad juju.
even Warhammer can't escape from that number.
I mean, the Ultramarines escaped from it. They're 13.
But Cadia didn't.
Acadia. Oh no, they're coming from me with pitchforks and torches. Torches.
Oh no. The 13 bell tolls. Unlucky
Yeah.
number. I can already tell. I can already tell that we're not going to have a happy ending here.
No, no, no. It's never a happy ending.
It's Warhammer. Of course it won't.
So this is where things get fun though. Because
Ooh.
as the bell tolls and the ground shakes, the sky starts to darken and it starts to rain. But doesn't just rain.
What does it do?
Things things start falling from the sky. Things start falling from the sky and crashing into the city.
It's raining
Small
men. Hallelujah. It's raining men.
people are jumping off the fucking towers. No. So basically, have you ever seen the animated film Prince of Egypt?
Oh, yes, it's a classic, dude.
Okay, so you know the scene where the classic best scene in the movie, Let My People Go,
Oh
when
yeah.
fireballs start raining from the sky.
Ah, yes, the plagues, the plagues.
Yeah. So these green fireballs start raining from the sky. Some are small, like small little rocks. Others are big, like some are small building sized. And as they
Mm,
fall, they begin crashing into buildings, tearing things down, killing people, obviously. But
yikes.
more frightening is that these things are obviously meteors, but they aren't just
Mm.
regular stones. They're warp stone meteors that rain from the sky, which is not okay.
No, that's not. That really isn't.
So I'm gonna ask you this quick question: do you know what warp stone is?
Um, this I imagine it has something related to the. It's related to the warp, which is a big thing in 40K, and that's a major source of your magic or psychic powers. So I'm imagining it's related to that. Am I
Exactly, because
remotely close?
the warp is the same. The warp is the same across both settings, like literally the same, right down to the gods that live in it.
Okay, so yeah, I did notice that. I think like the like chaos like transposes easily over to fantasy. Like all the four chaos gods are there, just like they are in 40K, pretty much.
Yeah. So basically, warp stone is basically uranium, but for chaos instead of radiation.
Well, that's one way to put it.
So when it crashes, it obviously is poisonous. It can rot things. It can like kill people if they're exposed to it, or it can mutate them.
Ah, Papa
So,
Nurgle would be proud.
yes, 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 yes. So as this rain is going on, the rain is basically like oily black. It is like dark black, and people are kind of like, "What the hell's going on? Why is it raining flames and shit?" Now, naturally, the dwarves they live underground inside the mountains. They're fine. Like they're like, you know what, homies, humans, peace out. We're gonna close these doors. We're gonna wait out the storm. Hope you don't mind.
No diggity, we out.
And I am not even joking. That's basically what happened. There's like, you know what? We're gonna close these doors. You guys will be fine. Don't worry about it. Humans a little peeved, but
Just a little bit, just a little.
they're not. It's not something. It's not gonna split heads because like it's yeah, it's raining meteors. People are dying, but like it's not like anyone's. It's not like the dwarves are like killing them. It's not like they're just like, hey, listen, it's raining. It's raining still. It's raining fireballs, but the city is overall fine. We're just gonna seal up until morning. It's fine. The
It's
thing is,
like
it doesn't stop raining.
it's like it makes me think of that scene from Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. It's like Harry broke his arm, and so Professor Lockhart puts a spell on him, and the bones are completely gone. So Lockhart's just like, "Oh, it's okay. The bones aren't broken." Really?
That's a similar concept. Very similar
Wait a minute.
concept.
Hold on. Which one came first? Warhammer Fantasy or Harry Potter? Warhammer
Warhammer
Fantasy, right?
Fantasy.
J.K. Rowling, you hack. Anyways,
But so here's the thing, though. It doesn't stop raining. It continues to rain. And what this rain does is that the humans start to notice that their crops are dying. Like it isn't like floods where they're flooding and drowning. It is like the rain is like wilting and causing the plants to die.
that's not the good kind of rain.
Yeah. On top of uranium flying from the sky and crashing into your town, but
No, yeah, yeah. There's a little bit of that too. I hope someone built an ark or something.
yeah. So the humans are kind of like, hey dwarves, listen, can we come in? And the dwarves are like, oi, fuck off. This is our fortress. Fuck off. They're a bit
as
nicer,
as they
but
do.
yeah, they're a bit nicer, but they're kind of like, hey, fuck off. This is our place. Get out of here. Look, it's fine. Don't bother us. Okay, we're good. We're fine. But the humans aren't fine because
No, they're not.
as this rain continues to go on and on and on, people naturally start starving to death and
Mm.
get sick from the rain too. Like you're getting the fever because it's raining. This rain is cold. This rain is cold.
Ugh.
It's a medieval period. You're not gonna fucking survive. And people just kind of die. On top of that, the radiation, it's corruption from the warp stone, plus the poisonous rain is giving people like blisters and sores, and it's like the rain is just ass. The rain is just awful. It's death
Oh,
rain basically.
I
Like if
hate
you're not
cold rain
dying,
anyways.
yeah. Like if you're not dying from the fever, you're dying from basically poison rain. And if you're dying from poison rain, you're dying from starvation. It's just not a good time.
Yeah. No one's having a good time, it seems like. At least not the humans.
Yeah. Yeah. So humans are dying as they do. But the thing is, though, is that no one's removing the bodies, but the bodies are disappearing. Like no morticians are picking up the bodies and moving them. Like if you just die, your body just lays there. But
Uh-huh.
within a couple hours, the bodies are gone.
Sus.
Yes. Then people start to notice that this is more kids, more like young children. Like the smaller people that people normally don't trust. The more
Mm-hmm.
untrustworthy people, they start citing things. Packs of rodents, like packs of like small mice, rats that scurry across the floors more often than usual. Some claim that they like will envelop a body and drag it into a dark, shadowy place. Others will
Ugh.
say that they found just skeletons and no flesh on the bodies. But the thing is that as these rumors continue, the sightings continue, and the people who see them become more and more credible. But
Uh-huh.
the rats also start getting bigger and bigger. So like
Uh-uh.
maybe so the first night they're just regular rat size. The second night they're like twice as big, they're small dog size,
Well,
and it
shoot,
progressively.
regular rat size is like, nope, 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 nope.
Yep. Yeah, they start getting bigger and bigger, and they start getting more vicious too. Like they aren't just picking off like dead bodies; they're picking off like the weak and the sick. Like if you're dead, like if you are dying, they'll just kill. They'll eat you or drag you off while you're still barely alive. And
Oh,
actually,
no.
yeah. So it isn't just, oh, we'll eat the dead body. No, it's this person is dying. Let's just kill him anyway. Let's just end his
They
suffering and
get
kill him and eat him.
they getting
Yeah,
brazen.
yeah.
This is
It's
giving
not.
me vibes similar to a game called Plague Tale or a Plague Tale,
Oh, I've
and
heard of it.
it's essentially set in medieval France around the time of the Black Plague. And if we all know if you history buffs know what the Black Plague is, a lot of rats were involved. And boy, does that game make you terrified of rats. That's all I'm going to say about it.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not a good time.
Where are the cats in here? Where are the cats in all this? Don't humans raise cats to try and take care of the mice?
Yes, but the
Now
problem
they
is though, is that let's say you have one cat per household, and the mice are about the size of a small to large cat, and there's like a
mm,
hundred of them.
ugh. Yep, cats aren't going to be doing too good at their job.
Yeah, and that's also assuming that the cats can even get fed, given the fact that it's raining constantly, and people are getting sick and dying from just the rain alone.
Well, it sounds
You
like
have to
these
men-
rats are eating just fine. It sounds like they get chonk.
Oh yes, 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 yes. Rats like food. Skaven good. Skaven food.
Oh man. Okay.
Now, if you were a human in this town, what would be your first instinct?
GTFO.
Oh, you see, that would be a good idea, except because of the rain and there's no food, trade has stopped. Meaning there's no resources coming into the town. And if you want to leave the town, well, you have to take food with you. The problem is there's no food. And because trade has stopped, any way to get to if you try to leave, basically you have a higher chance of starving or, getting picked to death by the rats. Because again, if you try to leave and you're weak or sick, uh, well, rats got to eat.
So basically, darned if you do, darned if you don't. If you're trying to leave, you're screwed because you don't have food, and the Skaven will pick you off. If you don't leave, well, then you definitely don't have food or trade, so the Skaven are going to pick you off. So, okay, well, that was a bad answer to try and leave. So, what is the correct answer?
Um, well, there is no correct answer because the
Well,
humans
shit.
decided. the humans decide, you know what, we're gonna go see the dwarves. Maybe they'll let us in this time because we need somewhere to escape from the rats and the rain and the fucking, you know what, they have stocks of that we'll eat fucking rocks if we have to. We just want to get out of this fucking hellhole town now. So they start,
Because that worked so well the first time when they went over to the dwarves.
well, they were friends, so you know they bang on the door again. They're like, hey, listen, dwarves, your beard looks fabulous today. Can you let us in? And the dwarves again said, fuck off. Except this time they were nice enough to say, we got no food.
Well, that doesn't do anybody any favors.
Yeah, because the humans were collecting the food for both themselves and the dwarves. So if the humans don't have food, there's a good chance the dwarves might have food a little while earlier.
Hmm. Just a bad time all around, it seems.
Yes, but here's the thing though. The dwarves, again, they're stocky people, so naturally they should have stockpiles of extra saved up food, right?
One would think.
Now that's what the humans mentioned. The dwarves were keen enough to say, yeah, rats ate it all.
Well, shit.
And then they said, fuck off, humans, and they closed the doors on them again.
Damn it, dwarves. I like you. You're making me not like you.
I like the dwarves too. I don't blame them. I don't blame them.
True, true. But now it's gonna I imagine it's gonna turn into like a game of pointing fingers of like, okay, you're the one that agreed to let this stranger build our damn temple. It's your fault. No, it's your fault because you agreed to it too. You didn't stop me. You didn't stop me stopping you.
Oh, trust me, there won't be any pointing fingers later on.
Because they'll all be eaten.
So this continues until eventually the rats are like the size of small children.
Oh yikes.
So it's at this point that the humans realize, you know what? Fuck this. Get the pitchforks, get the torches. We're gonna get into that dwarven hole and we're going to fucking stay in there. If we have to kill all the dwarves, fucking fine. We are getting the hell out of this town and into the fortress, basically.
So that's what happened to the squats.
So the humans are basically, you know, the full on mob. They're, you know, raising their arm, pitchforks. They're like, yeah, we're gonna break into this thing. Yeah, rabble, 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 rabble. So they knock on the door. You know, they want the dwarves to open. Like, hey, we're coming in. We don't want to hurt you. We want to fucking come in. Just let us in. Like, we don't care.
Housekeeping. Housekeeping.
So they try to open it. They knock on the door. There's no answer. Okay, they're like, well, what the hell? Are you not answering us? They knock on the door again. Still no answer. I'm like, okay, you know what? Fucking bust the door down. Because, you know, thinking, okay, you know what? There's barricades on the other side. They're probably trying to keep us out. The door breaks in. They break the door down, but it doesn't require as much force as it would have been if it was fortified. And that's when they realize the second they go in, it's basically the mines of Moria.
No. No.
Oh. Yeah. And also the rats that are in there are also bigger. Like they're the size of like smaller adult humans, and they've decided to use dwarven weapons.
Well, it was nice knowing you.
Yeah, so imagine the scenario. You're like, you know what? I'm your average Joe civilian. I'm your Joe civilian. I'm gonna, you know, I'm righteous. I'm gonna break down this door. I'm gonna get in there. You know, me, my family, my human friends, we're gonna get in there. We're gonna live in this fortress where we're gonna be safe from all these fucking rats. You break the door down, all your dwarven friends are dead, and look, and at the far end of in the darkness, you see a bunch of beating red eyes.
I can only imagine that like one of the big ones just comes out and says, "Bitch, you thought."
Bitch, you thought that. Because Skaven like to repeat words.
Oh, more human food. Food.
Literally, that's Skaven. Good job. Good Skaven impression.
Woohoo! I pat myself on the back here. Okay.
And
I'll keep the voices going all night if I have to.
And again, the Skaven are carrying like, you know, dwarven weapons. They got swords, they got axes, and they're just like, you know what, let's fucking kill them. And the humans are like, oh, we're dead.
Oh, I seem to have left my car keys. Let me go and bye.
And that's how the doom of Khazar happened.
I
Now,
imagine like this the human party here is just like dwindling and dwindling and dwindling, and it's just like by the time they actually broke into the dwarven fortress the last time, there was like maybe what like I don't know, just like a ridiculous, like a laughably low number left, and then you just see in all these Skaven, and you're just like, well, just go ahead and take me now.
you know what? I am not letting you guys take me.
Imagine one guy's just like, I'm not even mad.
You know what? At this point, I'm just impressed.
And they have like and like one of them be like a hunter, like a rat hunter or whatever, and then just smile and be like, clever girl.
That'd be pretty sweet. But yes, that's how the city of Khazar died.
Well, that is depressing as all get out, but on par for Warhammer. So good on that. And damn, that was epic.
Yes, but here's the thing though. Remember how I said that this was passed on by a poem?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that poem comes from a supposed survivor of Khazar. It's apparently, rumor, hearsay that someone survived. That basically what happened in Khazar made its way out to the open world.
It was like he heard
Which
it from a
sounds,
guy who heard it from a guy who heard it from a guy, and so on and so forth.
yeah, basically. But here's the funny thing.
Okay.
Um, because again, it's a rumor, it's a legend, it passes on. People, they write. There's writings of the Doom of Khazar, like it's an actual like story that gets passed on. Like some people will speak it orally, some will like write it down and pass it on in written form.
Mm-hmm.
But over the years, anyone who's ever spoken of the Doom of Khazar has mysteriously died or disappeared.
So, is there like a fantasy equivalent to the Inquisition? Because that sounds a lot like Inquisition shenanigans to me.
Um,
Or
there
or are
is
we getting ahead of ourselves here?
Well, there is a Inquisition. There is literally the Inquisition in Warhammer Fantasy, but this isn't the Inquisition doing it.
Oh,
Yeah. You
oh,
see, if you know about the
oh.
rats and rats focus on self preservation, they might see you knowing about them as a threat.
So they're
That's
basically
the
doing the
idea.
Inquisition's job for themselves.
Yeah. So these scraps of paper might randomly burn. You might be a renowned like archaeologist who studied the Doom of Khazar and you learn about the Skaven, and you just might fall out of a window one day.
Accidentally on purpose, maybe?
Accidentally, yeah, you accidentally shoved a spear right through your throat.
I don't know what happened. I was reading a story about some really big rats. Next thing I know, a tuning fork comes in and gouges my eyes out. Who'da thunk?
It's so weird that this naturally happens. Yeah.
And why do I suddenly hear chirping along my walls?
Oh, we'll get to that. Trust me.
Oh dear.
So, to everyone listening and to you, good luck. The rats are coming after you now.
Well, I got two cats and a rabbit in my house right now, so maybe I'll be okay. Maybe, maybe.
As long as you go Warpstone, I think you're fine. Trade your life for Warpstone.
Mm-hmm. More like warp stoned, am I right? Hell yeah, dude.
I will get to that.
Oh my.
So that's the origin of the Skaven. Thoughts on them so far?
Metal.
Yeah, they're a fun race. They're fun. They're fun to be born. But
Like
that
as
wonderful.
disgusting as I find rats, that actually is a pretty cool origin story there.
Yeah. Now the thing is, we don't know who the stranger is.
So it's like never
It's
mentioned
never
or just
confirmed. Never.
wow.
There are theories, but even then the theories are like like they're theories from our end. There's no human who's like, oh, there's no human in universe who's like, oh, maybe it was this person. Like
Mm-hmm.
our best guess is it was the god of the Skaven themselves, who is called the Horned Rat, who manifested himself to create the Skaven. But even that isn't that's basically like a
That sounds
really
kind
like
of. I don't know. That sounds kind of like going in circles there, because like
yeah,
you said he was like, well, let me put in a shrine to my god. Well, if you
but
are
it's
the god,
himself.
that is your god. So you're worshiping yourself, which I mean that sounds like something that Skaven would do anyways, because they only care about themselves.
Yeah. So it's a weird it's a weird kind of roundabout thing. So like I kind of like the theory that it might be the Horned Rat because at least it gives something. But I also
Mm-hmm.
really like the idea that like it just never explained. This like random guy like it's a guy, it's a human who does it. Like
They do.
again, he's
They
just on.
specify it's a human, or
Well,
are
it's
we just
assumed to
we're
be a
guessing?
it's assumed to be a human because
Okay. Okay.
they don't like say anything. They don't specifically say it's a dwarf. They don't specifically say that it's an unnatural. They just again from the perspective of a human, which is who wrote the poem of the Doom of Khazar. They don't mention
Okay.
anything out of the ordinary. They don't mention it's specifically a dwarf, which leads
Mm-hmm.
me to assume that it should by default be a human. I could easily be wrong. I
Okay.
could easily be wrong, but because they
Okay.
don't mention any like anything different.
Okay. Well, honestly, I think it's probably in GW's best interest to keep that a mystery.
Yeah,
Kind of like who the F is the God Emperor of Mankind from 40K. You know.
we don't need to know about him. We don't need to know about history. Please don't tell me he's Alexander the Great. Fuck.
Or is the what were the other figures? Alexander the Great, Adolf Hitler, Jesus Christ, Mahatma Gandhi.
Yes.
I've heard those theories. Thank you to Warhammer.
Yeah, but there's no way the Emperor's Gandhi.
Not unless he's the Civ version of Gandhi. Anyways, back to
So
Skaven.
yes, so since then, the city of Khazar has since been renamed Skavenblight, and is the capital of their empire.
Okay,
Now,
then.
yes. Now, the thing is, though, remember I said the Skaven kind of like the rainstorm kind of killed all the crops and shit.
Yeah.
Skaven need to eat, so
Well, let's see here. They can easily eat humans and dwarves. So I imagine cannibalism is not out of the question for them.
it's preferred. It's like common practice for Skaven to kill themselves to eat each other within the womb.
Oh, just in the womb.
Yes.
I, I don't even know what to say to that.
Like most Skaven that like the Skaven that are born like Skaven already breed at ridiculous speeds. But what's scary is that the Skaven that are born are the ones that ate the other half.
Oh my gosh. Yep, we are definitely in Warhammer territory here.
And the reason why they could like take part in cannibalism inside the womb is because self-preservation, which means if I'm hungry, I'm gonna kill you before you risk killing me.
As you do.
It's literally ingrained into them for self-preservation.
Golly Moses.
Skaven are awful, awful people.
Are they even people at that? They're not even people at that point. They're just rats.
Just giant rats that are smart and evil. They're just dickheads.
So evil.
So the Skaven, they
Wow.
take part they take part in cannibalism, and they're basically it's basically a full on like anarchist state at this point. They're like, fuck, there's no food. You look like food. You look like food. And the thing is, though, the Skaven start killing each other naturally for food, but also for the warp storm meteors that are littered all over the town, because Skaven value that more than their own lives. Like a Skaven will. That's the like warpstone. Getting more warpstone is the only thing that could probably maybe convince a Skaven to put more value into their own life.
Mm. Yeah. So not only are they cowards, but they are also greedy.
Yes, they're extremely greedy cowards. And the reason why they focus on Warpstone is because Warpstone, to go over it, it's basically like it's a magic fucking space rock of evil, not okay magic shit. And the thing is that
Okay.
if anyone touches like Warpstone, if it's around anything even, it'll begin to mutate and kill and corrupt anything it touches, as the warp does.
Okay. Yeah, as the
So
warp
and
does.
Yes, and the thing is that it's basically like extremely concentrated, like pure magic, basically turned into like a stone form. Now, some
Okay.
sorcerers can, with practice, take like small fragments of warp stone and use it to like amp themselves up to give themselves more power to their magic. But it has to
Okay.
be a small amount because, again, too much magic will kill them. The Skaven will
Wait a
eat this
minute.
thing
Wait a
by the
minute.
handful.
So I was right about what the cocaine reference. Oh yeah, warp stoned, baby.
Yep. The Skaven will literally eat this shit by the handful, just like literally eating it. They will snort it. There are some that even have like backpacks that is filled with liquefied warpstone that have like IVs that inject straight into their arms.
I imagine there's got to be like a key, like a Skaven Keith Richards out there is just like, oh yeah, warp stone. All right.
Like whatever it takes to get it to like literally ingest it, they will do it to get it. And I mean that, but I mean that totally literally. And the reason why is not only does warpstone like it basically puts them in a drug high. Like it exhilarates them, makes them excited, it makes them like more excited, more like it gets them really fucking high.
So
But the
just like
problem is that
cocaine.
it's like cocaine, but combined with like a shitload of meth. Because the issue is that it also makes them hyper aggressive, and like meth can do in some instances, it also makes a Skaven really fucking tough. Like
So it's
almost
like it's like Skaven Keith Richards and Skaven Heisenberg all put into one, and they are breaking a lot of bad together.
yeah. Like you know how Death Guard and 40k are just like extremely resilient because of Nurgle's gifts?
Yep, and Morty just refuses to die, basically.
Yeah. That's basically the Skaven when they're on Warpstone.
Oh, glorious.
Yes. Like I just lost half my face. It's okay, I can still keep fighting.
More food, more food.
Literally. But here's another thing is that Warpstone has a number of other benefits. Like it can fucking give them magic powers
Mm.
and amp
The
the
only
ones they
thing
already have.
worse than a hungry rat the size of a human is a hungry rat the size of a human that also does magic.
Yes. Yes, yes. Another thing. Skaven have a natural lifespan of like 20 to 30 years, right?
Okay.
Um well
Only.
most will never live that long because Skaven have a higher chance of dying by murder than old age.
So this is like Dark Eldar or Drukari meets Death Guard meets I don't know.
The
I don't
waves
know. Help
upon
me out
waves
here.
Imperial Fist
Yeah.
of the Imperial Guard, I mean.
Yeah. Wait, who was it?
Yeah.
Who was it that made that said that Imperial Guard are like the Skaven of 40K? Who said that?
Um, I can't remember at the moment, but it's a very apt description. It's just wave upon wave.
Well, the more that we're talking about this and the more I'm learning about it, the more I am saying like seeing that's like, well, yeah, that guy's right.
So another thing though is that what Warpstone can do is that it can actually extend Skaven life. And because Skaven believes so heavily in self-preservation, a drug that gives them all these benefits and makes them live longer is going to be something that they're all going to vibe for. Like you could be a Skaven who's like 3 years old. Your life expectancy is like 30 years. You still got like 17 good years ahead of you, assuming you don't die. They're still going to fucking go for Warpstone to make them live an extra like 20, even though they might never see those 20 years. Which is just it's just like, oh yeah, I'm this adds like an extra like 30 years to my lifespan, but I'm gonna get shot in the face tomorrow. Oh well.
Worth it. Oh man.
Yeah, Skaven are fun, especially when they turn on each other. Then it's even funnier.
Any fun stories about them turning on each other?
Yeah, the two Skaven civil wars.
Okay, let's dive into it then.
All right. So the first Skaven Civil War is hilarious because it happens after the Skaven kind of fuck up a bunch of shit, mostly for themselves.
Okay.
So the
Amendment to my
Skaven
previous
form,
comment. It's like Drukari meets Death Guard meets Imperial Guard meets Orcs.
yeah, yeah, like literally the Skaven will fight each other. The Skaven regularly fight each other more than they fight anyone else.
Yep. So that's like orc rats. But aren't there also orcs in Warhammer Fantasy?
There are Warhammer orcs.
Okay.
Yes. So the first Skaven Civil War happens when the Skaven form their under empire, which is like this massive. Okay, it's a massive fucking underground empire, and how they formed this empire was they attacked the dwarves again.
Not my dwarves. Not the beard.
Basically, the Skaven had no choice but to. They couldn't expand on the surface, so like I got no choice. Let's dig underground. And all the dwarf fortresses are connected to each other through something called the Underway, which is basically an underground highway.
Okay.
And because the fortress and the dwarven fortress in Skaven Blight, now that it's called, is a dwarven fortress, they were able to access the Underway, which meant that
Oh
they could spread
no.
to every single dwarven stronghold.
Okay, so to you video game players out there, if you're familiar with Dragon Age, this kind of makes me think of the deep roads from the dwarf factions, where all the dwarven cities are connected, and that's how the what were those guys called? The Darkspawn. Yeah, Darkspawn were able to basically decimate the dwarves. So this is giving me a lot of Dragon Age vibes now too.
Yeah, the dwarves kind of get really, really fucked up during this war.
Golly Moses. Just
Yeah,
not my dwarves. Oh,
yeah, they
okay. In the origin story, you meant there were, it's a human and a dwarf alliance. So where are the
yeah.
elves in all this? Because you can't have a fantasy setting without elves.
Oh, the elves are fine. The Skaven actually cannot fight the elves.
Oh, because they're just so perfect, are they?
No, because their lands are enchanted. So if anyone tries to invade, you get fucked up.
So the
For
dwarves might,
reference,
at least the dwarves might could have learned a thing or two about that, but I guess not.
basically, the high elves live on fucking Atlantis, so they're fine.
Oh yes, sit him on Kai. We could just sit in our pretty little towers, and you get to deal with the little rat people. Oh.
And then the wood elves live in an enchanted magic forest that is hostile to anyone except them.
So basically, Fangorn Forest times like on steroids and Warpstone.
Um, yeah, basically.
All right.
So the elves are fine. My dudes are fine. We're good. Everyone else is fucked on the other hand.
Uh,
Yeah.
I do know. I do
So
know one problem that y'all have to deal with, and it's called Slanesh.
yeah, but she's fine. She's like gone in Age of Sigmar. She's
Damn it!
barely an inconvenience. But in reference to the Skaven, they start taking dwarven fortresses because again they're attacking from underground in the place where dwarves are supposed to be most secure, and they're raiding treasure. They're raiding like weapons and relics, like dwarven engines of war
That's not good.
and like dwarven weapon, like general dwarven weapons and armor, which is just generally really good. So they're doing great. And the Skaven again are at a high fucking point because one of the fortresses they find is based in Cripple Peak, which is a massive mountain that actually got struck by a warpstone meteor like hundreds of thousands of years earlier.
So
So
Warpstone was like a thing even before Khazar fell,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. It is
Oh,
a yeah. It's basically like almost every. It's I don't want to say it's almost everywhere. You can find it almost anywhere. It doesn't mean that it is everywhere, but you could reasonably find it almost anywhere.
okay.
Yeah. And there's two big reasons for it, but I'll cover those at a later point.
All right. Put a bookmark on
Um,
that.
yeah, for sure. So naturally, Skaven find this massive mountain full of warpstone, and they're like, "Oh, this is fucking great! This is amazing!" And the Skaven completely forget about the dwarves because they're too focused on the fucking warpstone.
Oh, warp zone, big eye, big eye. Yes, yes.
And when I mean that there's a meteor warp zone, I mean like basically the entire core of this mountain is warp zone.
So they are sitting on a literal gold mine of magic cocaine.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of gold, do you know why the Skavens like gold
Why?
and why they steal dwarven treasure?
Because
They don't put
one,
any
because Dwarven
value in
treasure is
gold.
awesome, but
They don't put any value in gold. They don't value it at all. The reason they take gold and treasures like heirlooms and jewelry is because it inconveniences everyone else.
So not only are they cannibals and they're evil, they just petty.
Yeah, like you could make the most extravagant golden crown fit for like the king upon kings, and the Skaven will steal it not because they want to wear it or because it's valuable, but because you made it for someone and you think it's special, so now they want to take it from you.
Please tell me they do that to each other as well.
Oh, all the time, all the time.
Okay, good.
All the time. Skaven are petty beyond petty. So naturally, they find a massive bunch of warp stone. They start killing each other over it while also working with each other because Skaven kill each other more than they kill anyone else.
Well, given they breed like, well, you know what?
Yes.
Helps kind of keep the population in check.
So they end up actually meeting, temporarily going to war, and then eventually actually making peace with a evil necromancer who lives in these mountains. Now, do you know why they made peace with this necromancer?
No, but go ahead and tell me.
Because Skaven corpses work just as well. The Skaven realized that the more they fight this necromancer, the more bodies they give for him to throw back at them.
So then they're just fighting themselves even more.
Yeah.
Oh, I killed him. Oh, he come back round 2. Oh, I killed him again. Oh no, he come back round 3. No.
Oh no, I die.
Oh no, I die.
So eventually, the necromancer and the Skaven form. It's basically a very loose alliance. Basically, it's we won't go to war with each other, and we'll both equally mine the mountain. Well, not exactly. Skaven, you mine the mountain, and you give me a portion. You basically give me a little bit off the top of what you collect every little bit, and in return, we won't go to war with each other. Now, this is the nicest fucking thing the Skaven will ever do.
Oh, take note, everyone.
Them not going to war because they want to mine magic cocaine is the nicest thing they've ever done. God, I love the Skaven. However,
this is awesome.
However, here's the thing. Remember how you wanted to know about a civil war?
Uh-huh.
This is where it starts.
Oh no. This is the first one you said?
Yeah, this is the first Skaven Civil War. So the Skaven Civil War basically collapses their massive empire, their under empire. And when I mean it's a massive empire, I mean that their Skaven empire basically stretches the entire planet.
Damn.
Like, they were basically Skaven everywhere.
Just damn.
Like, the only place there aren't any Skaven is where the Wood Elves are, where the High Elves are, and where the Lizard Men are. And that's only because the Lizard Men pushed them out.
Okay, so Lizardmen, check. These guys sound awesome. I'm gonna put a earmark on that one for later.
You ever played Oblivion, like Skyrim, like Elder Scrolls Oblivion?
This is about to sound strange, but like I did play a little bit, but for some reason I could not get into it. But when I did play Oblivion, and then of course I played Skyrim, I always chose the what were they called? Argonians, the lizard folks.
Okay, yeah, perfect. That's excellent because in Oblivion, you know how the gates of hell are opening up, invade. It's not called hell, but for shorthand, hell's invading the world.
Yeah.
And in Oblivion, the Argonians actually counter invade hell. This is basically the same thing. The Skaven invade the Lizardmen's home, thinking that they can take them, and the Lizardmen decide, "Oh no, you fucked up. We're gonna invade you guys now."
I knew there's a reason I like the Argonians.
And the Skaven end up very quickly closing up that wall and being like, hey, we're not going over there anymore. We're going to stay over here.
No lizard. No lizard. Bad, bad.
Bad lizard. We stay over here where humans are weak. So
glorious.
this is where the wonderful, wonderful Civil War happens. Basically, the Skaven run on a clan system. There are 12 clans, and each clan is ruled by he's basically a lord. He's basically like an overlord, basically. There are 4 major clans, and then the other 8 are lesser clans. They're called warlord clans. And each one of these 12 clans has a seat on the Council of 13. It's basically it's a council.
There's that number again.
Yeah, there's a council of 13 members. But one of the seats is always vacant. And the reason why that seat is always vacant is because it's for their god, the Horned Rat himself. So only the Horned Rat can sit at the 13th the 13th spot.
Ah.
Yes. So the thing, and clans can rise and fall. Some clans can rise up and take one of the 12 seats, or they can fall and lose the 12 seats. There's always going to be 12 seats. Well, 13, but there's only going to be 12 clans that sit the council.
So that's like the closest thing they have to like any kind of unifying leadership, I guess.
Yes, and the only reason why is because each one of these 12 overlords, these leaders, have been blessed by the Horned Rat himself. And also each one is basically, I don't want to say they're immortal because they do die of, these are the only Skaven who die of old age.
And to be a Skaven and die of old age, you have to do some pretty badass things, I imagine. Or
yeah, you have to just be like the most deplorable, like the most deplorable being in existence.
Damn.
And again, these are like the leaders of Skaven society, so you can imagine these guys are constantly like, coked up on Warpstone. Like the average life expectancy of one of these leaders is 400 years.
So you go from originally being what, like 20 to 30 to maybe 40 to 50 with Warpstone to 400 years.
Yeah.
Damn. These folks have no chill.
Yeah, they're constantly like on Warpstone basically and using it to again enhance their physical abilities. That includes their strength, speed, healing factor, and intelligence, as well as their magical abilities, and it extends their life.
I can just like imagine like a Master Splinter type of Skaven just like sitting there with just like a beard going all the way down to like the, like all the way to the doorway at the front of the chamber.
It's funny they mention Master Splinter because there's actually a clan of Skaven who are ninja assassins.
Seriously?
Yes. Because remember I said the Skaven under Empire spans the entire fucking world?
Ooh.
Well, there's a part of the Skaven Empire that has reached Nippon, which is basically the Japan of the Warhammer world. Like it's feudal Japan, effectively.
Okay.
And the
awesome.
Skaven in this region, like they're rats, so they're hidden, they're traveling between walls, but they're watching like ninjas and assassins like doing martial arts inside their dojos. And the Skavens are in the walls of these dojos watching them do this. And they're just picking this up and training each other and using these same tactics they learn to kill one another.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Skavens. Teenage Mutant Ninja Skavens.
And naturally, because they're learning this and they're using these same techniques against themselves, it creates like this almost like Darwinist like martial arts society where only the best, most talented ninja Skaven continue to procreate, which makes progressively more and more like more badass ninja assassin Skaven.
This is fantastic. At first I wasn't sure about this Skaven just because of how deplorable and awful they are. But this is great.
It's often these assassin Skaven are often the ones who kill the people who know about them.
Ah, so it all comes around full circle.
Yeah. So if you know about the Skaven, it's Clan Enshin that's going to kill you.
I don't think we've gone over the names of the clans. So this kind of like, I guess as far as hobby terms, this is like your different Space Marine chapters where you can do a different color scheme, so
Yeah,
the clans kind of operate that way.
yeah. Very similar to Warhammer as well. Like with Warhammer 40K, there's obviously like there's the main clans, like the major four, the eight
Mm-hmm.
lesser ones, and there's a bunch of like even smaller clans that are like even lesser than the eight smaller ones. And these would
Mm.
be like your successor Space Marine chapters to like use it in 40K terms. Like, let's say you want your clan to be like a special snowflake. Oh well, I'm clan um blunderbuss, and we use makeshift dwarven equipment or some shit.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is their way of explaining where like who takes the place of a clan that falls. So if a clan like loses grace or their leader dies, a new clan from like a new clan from among these like lesser clans will take the place of it. It's a whole political. It's the closest thing to politics they have.
Okay. So basically, Game of Thrones, where everyone's
Yeah,
backstabbing each other.
literally. So one of these lesser clans um is known as Clan Pestilence. All right, so Clan Pestilence is a up and coming clan. The concept is that during the war with the Lizardmen in Lustria, which is where the Lizardmen live, a lot of Skaven like set up strongholds there because again, initially they invaded it. They were making their own like home here until the Lizardmen decided to counter invade. Some of the Skaven that were still on Lustria started like pleading to their god, like, "Hey, please help us, because we're losing to the lizard men. We're just trying to expand. We're trying to grow. We're trying to do anything." So the Skavens start doing anything they fucking can to get the Horned Rat's attention. That includes killing each other and sacrificing themselves and the lizard men in these massive like rituals using warpstone, because there's actually a lot of warpstone in Lustria because the lizard men
Okay.
actually have a huge stockpile of it there. So they're
Mm-hmm.
doing this ritual, blah blah blah. It's just not working, and they're doing more and more extreme and extravagant, more lethal and bloody rituals to just get his attention. Until
Mm-hmm.
the Hornrat does eventually get his attention, and
Oh boy.
he is a benevolent god in
Oh
that
dear.
he will kill you quick.
I guess for what the Skaven do to each other, that does pass for a benevolent god. It's just
Um,
like, why did you interrupt me? Bam.
yes, except he wasn't benevolent to the Skaven who summoned him. He infected them with so many possible diseases. Like, how in 40K, when Morty meets Nurgle and Nurgle's like, "Join me," and Morty's like, "No." And Nurgle's like, "Bet," and gives Morty and all the Space Marines in his Legion every possible disease.
Uh, yes. So
Um, Hornrat basically does that, but he does it for fun. He's like,
sounds
"You
like he got
summoned
power.
me."
Sounds like he got powers on loan from Nurgle there.
Um, there's a theory that the Great Horned Rat is an avatar of Nurgle. So
Ooh.
yes, I don't buy it because he does become his own like minor warp god at some
I was gonna
point.
say it sounds like he's like his own thing, but
Yeah, he's definitely like getting something that he's definitely like feeding into like Nurgle's like bucket, but he's not like fully in there.
because his faction is doing all the dang killing with not just like humans and dwarves, but like themselves just as much.
Yeah, yeah. I put him very much in the similar like Gork and Mork, who are also in Warhammer Fantasy.
Okay.
So like he's very much. I'm assuming he's very much his own like minor chaos god. But regardless, he infects all the Skaven on Lustria with this like horror, like every single horrible plague imaginable. And this
Mm.
is where Clan Pestilence is born, because these Skaven start to actually see these like horrible plagues and curses and diseases as blessings, and they
Mm.
realize that they can weaponize it by, for example, using the dead corpses of Skaven who have died as catapult ammunition,
Oh gosh.
or
So
stabbing their weapon, like cleaving their weapons, like killing each other, cleaving into each other with these swords, which now
uh-huh.
have like polluted Skaven blood on them, before attacking the lizard men and stabbing into them with said same poison blood weapons.
So basically medieval warfare.
Yeah.
That's basically what this is.
Yep. Unfortunately, the Skaven are still pushed back, but Clan Pestilence, because they're basically the only clan that was able to basically like hold their own against the lizard men. They very quickly like start expanding among like the Skaven Under Empire, because it's like, oh, did you hear that they are still fighting the lizard men? Like, like I said, it's more, it's Skaven speak. Like it's oh, you hear that Clan Pestilence continue to fight lizard men? Like they still fight. Like they're very much like they're very much like growing in status because of the fact they can hold their own against lizardmen. They're still losing, but it's like a slow stalemate. It's like a losing stalemate.
Mm. So basically, just like 40K in general, where everything is a losing stalemate.
Pretty much.
In the grim times of Warhammer Fantasy, there is only Skaven.
I mean, eventually there will be Skaven supremacy.
Better jump on the bandwagon. Yes.
You're either on the bandwagon or you're getting crushed under it.
So I have to ask this question as far as like the hobby thing, as far as the hobby is concerned, is
Yes.
With the different clans, what is the clan that you usually see on like the main box art for them?
I'm actually not fully aware of that. I'm not too invested in the tabletop, mostly because it's shifted to Age of Sigmar.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't fully say which clan it is. Although I do know that in Age of Sigmar, the clans basically have, I don't want to say they've gotten worse, in my opinion, but their structure is basically like devolved, which I guess makes sense for Skaven. It's basically there are no major, minor, and intermediate clans. They're called warlord clans for like the A1s, but I'm just calling them minor clans because I don't want to throw too much terminology around. But the concept is that basically every single one of these clans is now their own like equal status clan.
So it sounds like, I guess, when they shifted the Age of Sigmar, which we'll cover some of that. I imagine we're going to be covering some of that lore too, because it is related to fantasy, but in a way that made a lot of people mad, at least to my understanding.
I don't think it was that bad. Only because I wasn't fully invested in fantasy. To say,
I didn't come into like the whole hobby until like the height of 9th edition for 40K, and then like that was around the same time that like they did End Times for fantasy, and then rebooted everything to Age of Sigmar, which I guess if you ask a lot of the veterans out there, a lot of people were upset about it. So that's all I know. I obviously don't know enough to have an opinion, so just that's all I know.
Don't come at us with the pitchforks and torches. We already got Ninja Skaven after
Not us. I know, we already got the Ninja Skaven after us. I'm starting to hear scritches in the walls.
Oh my god. They're in your walls. They're under my building.
They're here. They're
in the floorboards.
Oh.
Skaven comes in, just, excuse me, would you like to discuss your car's extended warranty?
Would you like to discuss our Lord and Savior, the Horned Rat? The Horned Rat? Horned Rat?
So, Clan Pestilence, again, has basically grown in status because of this. Like, they're a bigger clan, because they're becoming a bigger, more influential clan. Also, their plays are kind of actually spreading among the Skaven society. So a lot of Skaven are kind of like, ooh, infect me, I'll join you kind of thing, because they're a horrible, horrible race who want to preserve themselves. And they're basically going to try and ride the wave of success that Clan Pestilence is doing.
So only Skaven will be like, ooh, plague, gimme.
Yeah. And Clan Pestilence, Clan Pestilence in their eyes, view the rest of Skaven society as not being fully with the Horned Rat. They see them as putting themselves over the worship of the Horned Rat, which they are.
Yeah.
So
look out for number one.
Clan Pestilence aside, Civil War is the best option.
That kind of makes me wonder, is this like, is with the Skaven and the Horned Rat, is that kind of a similar situation to why you don't really see that many orcs fall to chaos, is because of their belief in the horned rat is at such a level that they don't fall, kind of like, because like all this talk about clan pestilence is just like, you'd think they'd be all up on that Nurgle train, but it
Yeah.
doesn't sound like it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's something very similar. Like I said, I think because he's a minor warp god. I think it's very similar to like how no Eldar fall to chaos because all of them go to Slanesh regardless. So none of the chaos gods are going to warrant, like none of them are going to try to do that because Slanesh already has claims. So it's kind of the concept of, oh well, what's the point of even trying to turn an Eldar to Khorne because he's always that Eldar is always going to fall to Slanesh.
Mm. I was gonna
So you
say
see, like,
fall to chaos. They birthed the chaos god. Come on now.
but they cannot fall to chaos. Jakari aren't actually worshippers of Slanesh. I'm just saying. They're
Dear
forced to
listeners,
follow
clearly
her.
you can tell I'm the dwarf guy in this conversation and he is the elf guy. So this is going to be a very fun time.
Look, the elves did nothing wrong, okay?
Huh. Yeah, about that. We'll cover that in another episode, maybe.
um, so Civil War is a thing. Because of the Civil War, a lot of the Skaven society kind of just recedes on itself, and a lot of their holdings kind of retract. That includes Cripple Peak, which, as I mentioned, has a massive deposit of Warpstone. Well, because Skaven society kind of falls upon itself, the Skaven that are at Cripple Peak not only turn on each other, are also attacked by Clan Pestilence. But Nagash, who actually was killed by the Skaven because of some weird roundabout plot that they did because they didn't want to die, Nagash resurrected himself because necromancers can do that, and decided, hey, Skaven, because you guys were involved in my death, I'm going to take back Cripple Peak.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait. I've heard that name before, Nagash.
Yep.
Was he that necromancer that they
Yep.
made that
Yep.
peace with, quote
Yeah.
unquote?
Yep.
Oh, it all makes sense now.
Yep. So Skaven made a deal with Nagash. Skaven ended up helping Nagash die. Like they help someone kill Nagash, basically. Nagash resurrects himself because necromancers can somehow do that. And Nagash decides, hey, Skaven, I want my Warpstone back. And he takes back Cripple Peak.
Time to pay the piper, man.
Yeah. So naturally, Clan Pestilence is kind of fucking everyone up. Like it's basically everyone versus Clan Pestilence, but at the same time, everyone is also like, oh well, yes, let's attack Clan Pestilence, but Clan Molder, you guys are assholes. I mean, we're all assholes, but you're gonna fucking die. It's basically everyone is officially at war with Clan Pestilence,
Even Clan Pestilence.
But everyone is unofficially at war with everyone else.
There really is only war.
Now, remember how I was mentioning Nippon and those Ninja Skaven?
Yes.
They come back.
The Teenage Mutant Ninja Skaven? Yes.
Yep. So these Ninja Skaven learn about the Civil War because, again, they were in fucking China and Japan. And they're just like, oh, there's a Civil War going on. Well, let's capitalize on this because Skaven always focus on capitalizing on bad situations. And they start these Skaven of Clan Enshin, which is what the Ninja Assassin Skaven are called. They just start immediately attacking Clan Pestilence because again, everyone's at war with Clan Pestilence. And Clan Enshin is a lesser clan at this point. Basically, they're one of the smaller clans. You know, they're not officially part of the 12.
Okay.
And the amount of assassinating that they do in the Civil War brings them to Great Clan, to one of the higher clan status.
Wow.
Yep.
That gives the assassins from Assassin's Creed a run from their money.
Yeah, basically they just focus on killing as many leaders from Clan Pestilence as possible, while also assassinating any potential rivals among the lesser clans. So they basically just start skyrocketing to one of the 8 seats, like one of the 8 lesser seats among the 12.
Talk about upstarts.
Yeah, they're fucking cool. I love Clanish.
They sound awesome. I would get a box of them just so I can paint them as the Ninja Turtles.
They're fun. Their leader is actually really cool too. If I am correct, I believe his name is Squeak Headtaker. Give me one chance to double check this.
Squeak head take. Is it because he squeaks, or when he takes the head, they squeak?
No, they're led by Sneak. Sorry, that's his name.
Oh, even better because he's a ninja. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, he's called. Oh my, I forgot. His name is called the Grand Night Lord Sneak, and he is the master of the assassin.
Those Skaven, it hurts.
Yep.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh, he's fun, but he actually, I don't think it was him. He's not. He's alive in present day. Sorry, but basically, Clan Enshin commits so much assassinating that Clan Pestilence has only its founder and its leader, the first one who was affected by the Horned Rat. He's the last one alive, leading like this rabble basically, and he ends up marching his way into the capital of Skavenblade, where the Council of 12 are, which has been whittled down in number because Civil War does that.
Civil Wars do that.
Yes. And he says that he will surrender. He'll basically surrender to the Council of 13 if he gets a seat. So it's basically, I'll end the Civil War. I won't try to convert all of you to the full worship of the Horned Rat, but I want a seat at the table.
And
they accept because if there's anything Skaven love more, it's self-preservation, and the concept of war amongst themselves is both horribly hilarious and depressing because more Skaven die and they're constantly being born.
But although for everyone else it'd be a good thing.
Yes, they also invite Clan Enshin to take a seat as well because again, they've literally risen to upstart status because they've killed so many people.
Well, that does help when you thin down the competition a little bit.
Yeah. So that's basically how the first Skaven Civil War ends.
That was just the first one?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
You can see why Skaven is so fun.
Oh, damn.
They're hilarious. On the bright side, there isn't very much more to go on with Skaven except their second war, or rather their first proper invasion of the old world and the Empire of Man. Where they caused the Black Plague.
Oh, so just like in our world.
Yes, I mean that canonically. The Skaven literally made the Black Plague.
Oh, so it all makes sense now. So so everything we learned in history class about the Black Plague was because of the Skaven. In the words of Kronk, oh yeah, it's all coming together.
Remember how I said Skaven basically spanned the entire world?
Yes.
It was basically at this point that Skaven were like, hey, we span the entire world. What if we just start attacking everyone all at once?
That sounds epic and horrifying all at the same time.
Yes. In preparation for this, the Skaven underwent basically a period of time where it was not allowed to murder each other. Like they would still die mysteriously, but basically there was no permitted murder among Skaven society. Like again, some of them would still get murdered, but it was never it wasn't as open and obvious. Yeah. But it was basically, hey, remember how we kill each other and that's what keeps our population growing so slowly? Or if we just stop killing each other? Yeah. So Skaven society went from growing slowly but still very fast to fucking exploding basically overnight.
It is Plague Tale all over again.
Yeah, and then once they reached critical mass, where they basically couldn't sustain themselves, that's when they began their invasion of the surface world.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
oh my Sigmar!
They started this with the Black Death. So not only are they invading in untold droves, but before the invasion, they also infected the population of the world, well, mostly human empire, with the Black Death.
With all this Skaven, it's any wonder why is there even an empire of man left, or why is there even any dwarven strongholds left? It's just everything might as well be Skaven at this point.
That's the Skaven dream, because they believe in something called the Great Ascendancy, where the Skaven will no longer be forced to toil in the Under Empire, and the entire surface will be nothing but Skaven.
Does this have anything? Did they have like any? Is this in any way related to like the end times that people like to complain about?
They play a part in it, but they don't like cover the planet like according to their ascendancy. Like their belief is like they will literally cover the planet in Skaven.
So what kind of part do they play as far as like end times is concerned?
They kind of fight everybody. They fight Nagash again.
Again,
They do. Oh, and they blow up the moon.
that's a pretty significant thing, don't you think?
Well, in the grand scheme of things, when the world ends, the moon getting destroyed isn't that big of a deal, right?
Imagine
I forgot to mention this moon. The moon that they explode is also made out of pure warpstone.
Of course it is. No wonder.
Ooh, big warpstone. Big warpstone. Give.
It's literally a giant. It's a giant moon, a giant green moon. So it's literally just a giant fucking moon made out of pure warpstone, and they blow it up and cause warpstone meteors to fall across the planet, like when they were first created.
I'm just imagining like that scene from Infinity War when Thanos has the Power Stone, and he's just like grabbing that moon and just ripping it from the sky and blowing it up.
Yep, that's basically what happened.
Metal.
Again, it wasn't that big of a. They didn't play that big of a part in the end times.
Oh, oh, blow up moon. Just another Tuesday. Yes.
Damn.
Yeah. You might enjoy this part though, because the Skaven are horrible people, and they end up actually dooming themselves because they're invading the world, they're invading the Empire, they're infecting with the Black Plague.
So the only thing more entertaining than just how entertainingly awful they are is seeing them suffer. Yes.
Yeah, because the Skaven realize, hey, human empire is ruled by an emperor. The emperor isn't Sigmar. It's a regular emperor. It's a regular human at this point.
What?
This has been going. This is like 12,000 years of history condensed really a lot in the course of over an hour and a half.
Oh gosh.
I am breaking shit down very fast. Okay, I didn't even cover their full war with Nagash. Okay.
Oh my gosh, there is so much to these guys.
I am skipping shit through very fast.
So for emphasis, dear listeners, we are trying to do like bite-sized information on this, and clearly there is only so much we can do in such a short time frame. Now I understand what Mark, Eric, and Christian and Jordan went through.
Now, to go over this game, like, oh, it's ruled by an emperor. Let's just kill the emperor and have humanity collapse without a leader. They'll collapse into anarchy. Like if we didn't have a great horned rat, we'd fall into anarchy as well. So they kill their emperor. The thing about the Skaven is humans also have a line of succession. The Skaven have a conga line of backstabbing. Humans have a succession. So naturally, a new emperor must be appointed. And this emperor is known as Mandrid Skaven Slayer.
I wonder how he got that name.
Well, the empire went from losing the war with the Skaven to total victory.
Please tell how he did that.
Well, the Skaven infected humans with the Black Death. Fun fact, the Skaven can't get infected by the Black Death. I am not even joking.
Oh man.
Because just because the Skaven did not comprehend that because they made the Black Death that they could themselves be infected by the Black Death.
That's like orc levels is stupid, but it works.
So Mandarin Skaven Slayer realizes this, and he's like, "Oh, we'll just infect them with their own disease." And because there's so many of them, it spreads like wildfire.
It's like someone tried to. It's like someone tried to do a clan pestilence attack, and they rolled a 1. So then
Literally,
the pestilence just backfired on them.
it's fucking hilarious because, like I said, they went from like winning to just absolute defeat so fast. Ugh.
Oh,
On top of the fact that he was leading like full-on armies against the Skaven, so not only was he like, oh, like he didn't just defeat them by using the Black Death. Yes, that was a main thing he used, but he was also fighting the Skaven and murdering more than any other. Like he was basically just the Doom guy against Skaven.
I like this guy. He really
So-
lives up to his name.
Yeah. So once he had basically retaken a number of the cities, because during this time the Skaven who were conquering like the surface world had burned down a lot of cities, as they tend to do.
Yes, they do.
And he decided to basically retake these cities, and he would basically garrison them very minorly with what's called the sewer guard, I believe they're called, which are basically just like they're basically really, really well trained warrior veterans who are basically tasked with garrisoning these cities, but only in the sewers. So that when the Skaven come to like retake them, they're like, "Oh yes, let's retake them, man. Things are gone." They immediately like run into a wall of spears and shields. So, and it all because he's doing this, it means that none of these cities need to be like garrisoned more. Like they don't have to like immediately be refilled with people. They can be left minorly garrisoned because as long as these soldiers do their job, they can hold the Skaven back. And even if the Skaven retake a city, they've just retaken one city.
So if the Skaven do take one city, we know who to blame. The one guard. You had one job. You had one job.
You fell asleep on fucking guard duty. On top of that, to also boost morale, Mandrid Skaven Slayer. This is the one thing I don't like because it also kind of helps the Skaven. Because the Skaven were already like when the Skaven began their full-on assault, it didn't matter if people knew about Skaven, but he decided to use their tactic against them basically because of how many Skaven there were. People were so like demoralized. It's like, oh, we're fighting in this horde. So he basically started banning like letters or like records of the Skaven during this war. Basically, it was if there's any record of the Skaven, burn it. If there's anyone talking with the Skaven, like quarter them, imprison them, make sure they don't talk about the Skaven. And the reason why was so that like it's very similar to World War I in the trenches where you weren't allowed to talk about the type of shit food you were getting. You weren't allowed to talk about how bad the war was. It was to keep morale up, to keep people fighting, believing that every single battle they were fighting was a victory.
So kind of like in Halo, where Spartans are never labeled as killed in action; they're always labeled MIA.
Yeah, exactly. It was very much a morale boosting thing where it's like, oh well, we won't let anyone know about the Skaven, or if they do discuss the Skaven, it's only our victories that are shared, not our defeats. Which naturally helps feed into the Skaven themselves when they themselves can kill people who know about them. So it creates this like feedback loop of basically no one knowing about the Skaven. But
yep, there it is. The classic Warhammer. I've got to have a losing stalemate.
Yeah. But regardless, the Empire and the rest of the world actually pushes back the Skaven because the Black Death fucked them up. On top of Skaven Slayer just being an outright badass.
That's gonna make me chuckle for a while.
Skaven Slayer.
Mm-hmm. The Skaven Slayer and their own being killed off by their own Black Death.
Yes. I think it's hilarious.
Oh, this is fantastic.
Now, just so you know, this is basically the home stretch of the Skaven because again, I'm trying to condense it as much as possible. I'm trying my best to condense as much as possible.
Doing a good job so far.
Yeah, the war of the Empire basically comes to an end. Maybe we'll cover those each fucking war individually at some point. Regardless, Skaven are pushed back, defeated, and what happens after this, after the pushback to the Under Empire, is a Skaven do what they do best. Fucking civil war.
Yeah, baby. Civil War Part 3. Rock on.
Well, this is the end of the second Civil War.
This is only the second one.
Don't worry, there's only 2 civil wars in Skaven society.
And as much as they fight each other, you think there'd be more than that.
Well, these are official wars. They can backstab each other all they want. There's just no official. It's the difference between like murder and full on. It's like the difference between one person, one country murdering a guy from another country, and those 2 countries going to war. So basically, the problem is that because the Black Death turned on the Skaven, all the Skaven look at Clan Pestilence again. They're just like, hey, did you know the Black Death could be used against us? And the Skaven are like, what? No, Black Death, no work on us, no. So basically, again, it becomes everyone versus Clan Pestilence.
Clan Pestilence, they just get the short end of the stick every time.
Well, they're the ones who get access to their god more often than not. So I mean, like,
okay, yeah, that's fair.
Yes, yes. Overall, though, the second Civil War is big, but I mean, like, I already went through the first Civil War. I didn't even cover the gash. Basically, all you need to know is the war eventually fucking ends with more seats lost, more seats taken. Clan Pestilence is still fucking going strong, and I'm pretty sure is a major clan at that point because they basically failed upwards.
That just sounds like the Skaven in general. Just fail upwards. Oh, glorious.
Yes, but this is basically where we get to like the end/the end times of where things start to get near the end.
So where they basically pull a Thanos and just like rip out a moon from the sky, blow it up, and
well, first they move the moon closer to the Earth, then another clan blows it up. And the reason the clan blew it up wasn't because it was part of the plan. It was literally because they were insulted that the other clan moved the moon. It was literally, you're now one-upping us. It was a dick measuring contest where you can move the moon, I can blow it up.
As stupid as that sound, that from what I'm learning about this, that tracks.
So, the second Civil War goes on, blah, blah, blah. Eventually, the Skaven decide, okay, you know what? Let's try to summon the Horned Rat again, because that worked so well the first time. Now, what do you think happens when the Horned Rat appears this time?
Sorry, I got the giggles. Say that again.
Can you guess what happened after they summoned the Horned Rat this time?
I imagine something akin to that scene from Whiplash where he's just like, do not disturb me again, or I swear to God, or I swear to me, I will stop being so polite. I will effing destroy you.
No, he starts laughing.
Oh dear. That's even scarier.
He starts laughing because he thinks they're so hilarious. He thinks all their backstabbing and civil wars and failed attempts of success and all the murder is fucking hilarious. And then it starts eating the Great Council, all 12 of them. It just starts eating them, and then eating other Skaven in fucking Skaven blight by the handful. Like, it is literally like scooping them up by the handful and just like chewing on them.
Oh god. Oh. I can just imagine the Horned Rat, Zinch, and Kagarok are just like sitting at a bar trading stories of how they just decided to screw over their own faction for kicks.
Basically. So after the Great Horned Rat, does his thing, he eats a bunch of them. All the clans are basically this is where people start to hate, and I kind of agree. Basically, when all the leaders died, all the clans basically like fell apart because they didn't have their leaders. And instead of having the Council of 12, the Horned Rat basically appoints one Skaven to be the supreme, basically his avatar, his emissary in charge of all Skavens. So basically all the clans kind of drop down to equal footing, which kind of explains what happens in Sigmar, where they're all basically their own equal powered clans.
Okay.
But regardless, there's one Skaven in charge of all their Skaven called Thankful. He's the one who did the quote, "There's more than one way to skin an infant."
And we've come around full circle, everybody.
Literally. But you know the thing. They go to war with Nagash again. One clan moves the moon slightly closer because when the moon is closer to the planet, the gravity kind of fucks with the moon and causes warpstone to fall off the moon. The other Skaven clan decides to blow it up because having rocks slowly fall was too slow, and decided to just blow it up so it just rains warpstone everywhere.
Gotta get that warpstone faster somehow.
Yep. Then the end times happens. Blah blah blah. People die. Skaven are dead. Not really. They survive. Because there's always more Skaven.
There's always more Skaven.
The Horned Rats, again, is fucking hilarious. He's having the time of his fucking life during this entire engagement, decides, okay, I'm done. I'm going to save you guys now. And decides to take all of Skaven blood and all the Skaven that are there, and he literally swallows them into the warp.
Talk about a Deus
Ex
Ex Machina.
They're left on the planet, they're fucking dead. Like if you weren't on Skaven blood, you're fucking dead.
Well, and then I guess that leads us
2 weeks. They'll regain their numbers.
Oh yeah, so they'll get the numbers back in like 3 days.
3 days. 4 if they start another civil war.
Oh.
And that's basically where they are at the start of Age of Sigmar. Is they're basically trapped in the warp. Basically, has like this floating like city in the warp until they decide that they're going to continue digging like down. Like imagine a floating island, and then imagine you trying to dig down through the floating island's bottom.
I'm imagining that GIF where like the lady is confused and like has all these math equations trying to figure out how the hell that makes sense.
Oh, it doesn't, because they end up digging so deep. They dig through the floating island that is Skavenblight and end up digging into the literal infinite void that is the warp, and then digging their way out of the warp and into the mortal realms that is the Age of Sigmar setting.
Only with Skaven can you do that.
Yeah. They also, I believe, flood Nagash's realm, because Nagash has his own his own pocket dimension, his own realm inside the mortal realms. I'm pretty sure they flood it because they dug through the plane of water or something, which happens to also pass through Nagash. It's a whole bullshit story for Age of Sigmar for the Skaven.
Well, Age of Sigmar stuff aside, it's just like they just seem to be on Nagash's shit list at this point.
And I think that's hilarious.
Oh man. So Nagash, just if anybody has any kind of a issue with the Skaven, it seems like it'd be this guy, because he has cropped up how many times in our hour and a half, 2 hours of learning.
Yeah, he showed up like 3 or 4 times. They've gone to war with him at least 3 or 4 times.
Oh man.
But that's effectively the Skaven are for Age of Sigmar. We're not covering Age of Sigmar too in depthly, because this is our first episode and we just got through Skaven. Even then, this is a long
still
episode.
A condensed version, right?
Yes, I know. Again, I could probably do a whole episode that's 2 hours long on each one of their individual wars.
I was gonna say we might need to do a part 2 on Skaven at some point in the future, but that's neither here nor there.
We get enough reception.
Indeed. At least we're beating Adeptus Ridiculous to the punch on this one.
Hopefully. But I think we should peel back, take a step back from Age of Sigmar, leave that to be its own thing for now.
Okay.
And I think we should do a nice little cool down session where we kind of just go over the clans, because again, this is predominantly a Warhammer Fantasy one. If you want Age of Sigmar, we can cover Age of Sigmar at some point, but it's kind of its own thing that we want to let grow at its own point and kind of tackle when it's time.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of again, I'm not saying we'll cover it, but we'll mostly stay with fantasy, and these are the main clans that do exist in Sigmar, but again, their predominant presence is in fantasy.
Yeah.
So I can kind of just go over those ones, let those kind of just, give you a second to kind of just digest them, give a second, And if we really
Okay.
want to hate ourselves, we can discuss how Skaven babies are born.
Oh boy. I
I'm
just
joking.
can't wait
Please,
for
God,
that.
don't make me explain it. Please, God,
Oh
don't make me
no,
explain it.
no. Just no.
I already covered them eating each other in the womb. I don't want to go any further than that.
No, we've already been and with that we've already been demonetized. Yay us! Not even one pilot episode out, and here we go.
I know, right? All right, so to round them out, we'll start with the major clans because there's four major clans, eight lesser clans. They're warlord clans. Whatever, names are names.
Get out your notes, dear listeners. There's going to be a pop quiz later.
10 points to Gryffindor.
Oh darn it!
So the first one will be Clan Mulder. There was a Clan Scully. I'll get to it. So Clan Mulder was basically one of the first clans. It's the old, one of the oldest clans, and they specialize. Well, I was talking about Skaven babies being born, so I mean,
Oh no!
they basically focus on the
Keep it PG,
selective
friend.
breeding of Skaven. Basically, they have they're basically like almost like Darwinian forced breeding camps, basically, where they believe in like creating specialized Skaven and like mutant Skaven and make sure that only like specific like subspecies of Skaven breed amongst each other to like promote like I believe there's even like Skaven hounds, which are like a cross between Skaven like dogs and Skaven, like wolves basically.
Please
And then
don't
there's like
elaborate how that happens.
I don't know. I know there's Skaven like trolls and shit too.
Like we already have enough jokes about the space wolves being furries and all
Furries.
that stuff. Let's not go into detail about the Skaven.
Well, I mean, I don't think everyone who was captured by Skaven are killed. So I mean,
Okay, I'm gonna have nightmares tonight. Thank you for that.
well, on the bright side, when you're captured by a Skaven, nothing bad happens to you except you're pumped full of warp stone. You're given a shit ton of bionics and other types of synthetic organs, and you just throw on the battlefield. Same as a Space Marine, honestly.
Well, now that you put it like that,
Yeah, they basically make Frankenstein's.
better than being a human captured by Iron Warriors, and we are not going into that subject.
Yeah, basically, Clan Boulder are like the Drukhari. They're basically like the Drukhari of the Skaven.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay then.
The next one of the major clans is the Clan Scryer. They're basically like the Mechanicus because they focus on like making machines, but they're Skaven machines, so they're obviously just horrible, have a higher chance of killing themselves than each other. Oh, and I probably should mention the Skaven have nuclear bombs.
So it is like Gandhi and Civ.
Yeah, the Skaven have nukes, like warpstone nukes. They once blew up one of their cities with said nuke.
Just when I thought they couldn't get more ridiculous, and then all of a sudden they go from blowing up the moon to they have nukes.
They casually have stockpiles of nukes.
Just lying there. Yeah, as you do. You don't.
Then this Clan Pestilence went over them. They're one of the major clans since Second Civil War. Again, they rose to power because of the Second Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's Clan Inshin, our ninja boys. They're fucking awesome. Everyone loves a ninja.
Yeah, that's
Again,
probably my favorite so far.
Again, they're a fucking army of fucking master splinters.
Glorious.
They are excellent. Excellent indeed.
Indubitably.
So then there's Clan Moors. They're basically just kind of like, I don't want to say they're shock troops, but they're basically shock troops that have really, really good armor because they are constantly at war with the dwarves.
Ah.
Yeah, like when I say they're shock troops, I literally mean that they are literally used as like shock troops because they have the best weapons and armor.
Okay, so kind of like the Space Marines of the Skaven, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Then what is there? There's Clan Rictus, which is basically just like Storm Vermin, which is one of the okay. The Storm Skaven, if I remember correctly, are Skaven with miniguns for hands or some shit like that. Now, I'm not gonna look it up. I'm just gonna leave this statement of there are giant Skaven ogres with miniguns for hands, and I'm pretty sure that's what the Storm Vermin are.
All right then. We need to do next time we do something like this. We just need to have like a slideshow present or something, just so I can have an idea of what what we're talking about. But I can see this pretty good.
Yeah, they're great people. Which one do I want to go over next? I know the perfect one. Clan Scurvy.
Scurvy.
Yeah. I have them written in my notes list, and and there's like a little blurb about them. I can like kind of go over them fast. But Clan Scurvy is my second favorite one because they're pirates.
Yes. So not only do you get ninjas, you get pirates. The only thing that would make this better is if there were pirate ninjas.
Basically, Clan Scurvy is in charge of like the boats and the fleets of the Skaven. Again, fleets. There are Skaven fleets.
This is great. Let me see. I'm doing a Google image search of Clan Scurvy. Yep, pirates. I like this. Yar.
There's
great.
They're fun. There's mostly the four main clans get the most love. The warlord clans, which are the 8 lesser clans, they get less love, so they have less. They're basically like, again, perspective. They're more like the true successor chapters, whereas the ones where you can make your own, like the clans you make your own, those are like the successor chapters that you don't hear about. Like those are like the Silver Templars, I don't know. A Space Marine chapter doesn't get love. I don't know. The Angels Vermilion, like that would be like the lowest tier of the clans, whereas the Warlord clans would be like the Black Templars, the Crimson Fist. Like they're lesser, but people know about them. They get a following.
Okay. And so what were the clans that would be akin to like your founding legions, like your Ultramarines, your Salamanders, your Space Wolves, your Thousand Suns?
That would be Molder, the one that specializes in the hybrids and shit. The Squire, which is the engineering, Pestilence, which is the plagues, and Enshin, which is the ninja dudes.
Okay, so those are the big 4.
Yes, but here's a fun fact about those 4. I want you to pick something out for me, okay? I want to see if you catch this.
Okay.
So Clan Molder focuses on body alteration, hybrids, breeding, and the use of, performance-enhancing drugs.
Okay.
Clan Scryer is engineering and development and the use of magical weapons. Clan Pestilence is the creation of plagues and diseases. Clan Enshin are assassins and are masters of murder. Do you see what I'm laying down?
I'm probably heading in the wrong direction here, but I'm feeling like there's some parallels between like the Chaos Gods.
Exactly what I was leaning into.
Oh, I am smart.
Now, it's never stated, it's never made explicit, but the fact that the 4 major clans all have very strong relations to the 4 Chaos Gods is a pretty interesting fact that has nothing to do with anything, which really pisses me off.
It's like that scene from Spaceballs. Like, I am your father's son's nephew's cousin's former roommate. So what does that make us? Absolutely nothing.
It's the worst part because those 4 clans are the 4 major clans, and they all speak to the 4 major Chaos Gods. But there's not really anything that goes beyond that.
Come on, GW. We were this close to greatness. You were this close.
So other than that, I think there isn't really much else to cover. Their religion is obviously they worship the horned rat. He's an evil rat of evil. He's the most Skaven he's Skaven.
So that's like the only thing they can agree on, it seems like.
No, because remember, Clan Pestilence went to war with everyone.
Oh, well, okay, even there's that, so never mind. Hush my mouth, I suppose.
The Skaven went to war with each other over the worship of the great horned rats.
Oh man. This is great. This is great.
I agree.
So this is the Skaven, everybody. I
Yep.
had a
Do
lot
you
of
have
fun learning about this.
any standout parts? Anything you enjoyed most?
Oh, they are just so ridiculous, like the orcs, but in a dark and more twisted way, which complements my dark and twisted sense of humor very well. So,
Yes.
of
I have a
course, the
friend.
teen. Go
I have a
ahead.
friend who's a big fan of the Skaven. Yeah, I have a friend who really loves the Skaven. I even made 40K rules for them to be played whenever she actually gets around to buying her minis.
Well, I guess this is a good time to. I guess this is a good time to bring it up. I did see somewhere on Instagram. I don't know if this is true, but apparently there's a rumor going around that they might actually bring Skaven into 40K.
So do you know the sloth race in
I
40K?
vaguely familiar with it. Familiar with it. I think it was talked about in one of the Primarch books. I think
Yeah, and
Alfarius.
it was Alfarius head of the Hydra. They actually captured either Alfarius or Omegon or both or
That's
neither.
yeah. That's why that's what it was. Yeah.
And the concept is that they're basically like weird slug amorphous beings of like evil and shit.
Mhm.
Apparently in second edition, I believe they were actually they I believe the sloth were actually supposed to be Skaven. It was either the sloth or was the
Ah.
Harud that were Skaven, and just over
Okay.
time they were shifted to fantasy, or they basically stayed in fantasy, and the Harud or the sloth, whichever race it was, grew into its own thing, like separate from it. But originally, that race was the Skaven in 40K. But again, they just couldn't.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And there's no
Interesting.
reason why they couldn't come back. I believe they might have been called the Harud Nocturnal Warriors. If you want
Mm,
to, yeah,
okay. I gotta look more into that.
yeah.
All the more
So there is
excuse
a
to go
precedent
back to
for them
Lore to
existing.
Warhammer and talk about the episodes on their Xeno races.
Indeed.
Hmm.
So yes. Any standout things that you loved about the clans? Any
Let's
clans
see
that you
here.
enjoyed the most?
The Teenage Mutant Ninja Skavens, of course.
Of course,
Pe- Pestilence is pretty fun. Only because they're like the ones that are literally on everyone's shit list.
because they are the shit
In-
list.
they have transcended the shit list and become the list.
They transcend the list and have become the toilet paper.
No, everyone else is the toilet paper. They are.
Oh my
Oh man. Oh man.
No, I'm a big fan of nukes myself. So
Ah,
Glenn Skyer is my homeboys, but I gotta
yes.
represent the Teenage Mutant Ninja Skaven as well, and the
Yes,
Pirate
yes.
Skaven, of course,
Ah, the
of
Pirate
course.
Skaven. Now we just gotta create like a minor clan that combines both of those.
Uh, no, we need
One can
Viking
dream though.
Skaven.
Ooh. Oh
They
man.
brush their fur elegantly. They wash
Uh
twice a year.
twice a year. They even put them in braids.
I mean, that sounds kind of cool, actually.
Yeah. All right. You heard it here, listeners. If you're into making up your own clans, make that happen.
Make that happen. Now, no, the most important question: do you have warpstone, and can I have some? I don't have a problem.
Oh no. Wait. Warpstone, Skaven. Oh shit, I'm hearing the chittering again.
On the
I
bright
think that
side, No, that's why I need Warpstone to pay off the Skaven, just like Nagash did.
So that's where that's all coming from. Oh man,
I had fun.
this was good. Well, if you've stuck around for this long, thank you very much, dear listeners. I don't know how the whole podcast thing works, but I'm imagining it's like YouTube. Hit that like and subscribe, and then stay tuned for a little bit more. Anything else you want to add there, Ray Wade?
Yes, give her my walls. Please help. Help.
Oh god, no, here we